You stand accused of gross incompetence and strategic malfeasance leading to the disastrous loss of the Sol occupation, bellowed Archon Zeiser, Supreme Judge of the High Council Tribunal. Explain why our glorious empire was humiliated across the stars. Prostrated upon the polished black floor, System Marshal Pranik Urk refused to cower before the 9 elder peers glaring down from the hovering crimson dais. The outcome was foregone, but his family honor remained battered as ever. Noble Archon, I warned months prior that human resistance fermented dangerously unchecked. My reports advised dispatching additional legions. He kept his speech submissive yet firm against long odds. But the council decreed consolidating border garrisons held precedence for expansionist doctrines. Thus Sol lacked adequate forces when the uprising erupted. Murmurs rustled the crimson and gold chamber. Few dared remind politicians of their strategic blunders once laid bare. Yet Urk's loyalty saw unflinching. Preposterous, thundered Archon Zeiser in response, nostrils flaring wide. Marshal Yold bled thousands of loyal troops quelling that vile human rebellion. But you fled the blaze that consumed Sol like some whimpering hatchling. Vitriolic contempt echoed among the assembly. Yet Pranik Urk only lowered his gaze demurely to hide seething fury. None here had faced the unbroken human wave crashes against bitter trench fortifications across scorched radioactive worlds. This soft oligarchy grasped little beyond caviar, graft, and ceremony while soldiers endured the maelstrom. With respect, honored Archon, no dishonor taints my obedient withdrawal once our forces on Terra burned beyond hope. Only thus were loyal Imperial citizens spared the same fate beneath nuclear fire and Empire plasma rays. He paused for effect. Records verify 3 entire legions fought to the last warrior beside Terran monuments before human war beasts overwhelmed our fortress palace gates. The humans were of primitive stock, but it was the equal stock which composed a force we could not hold back. As the human ancient propaganda would say, the human spirit could not be broken. The admission of losing elite cohorts raised alarmed cross-chatter. Such tactical truths rarely left battlefield reports for fear of propaganda victories. Yet if it spared his lineage some dignity, so be it. The council still clenched victory, rejecting Pranik's appeals. Now silence and ostracization awaited as fair recompense. Pranik Urk raised his gaze unflinching to meet Archon Zizor's smoldering scorn. Appointing a lone scapegoat fixes nothing. My leadership saw 3 entire legions sacrificed gloriously alongside loyal Imperial citizens before Terra was beyond salvage. He paused as outraged murmurs rippled the tribunal. Few dared speak tactical truths that might spotlight politician blunders once laid bare. Yet the Urk name would not be smeared unjustly. Zeiser snapped in fury. Marshal Yold crushed the uprising once dispatched, though you scurried away like a mewling hatchling beforehand. Such cowardice demands penance. Pranik slowly rose to feet, iron in his spine. There was no uprising to crush upon their arrival, only ashes and glowing bones. But say I should have ignored all strategic assessments labeling humans unpredictable insurgents and somehow pacified Sol single-handed. His scarlet gaze bore into the counselors. Why pretend your grasping edicts did not demand impossibly swift compliance fueled by ambition's folly? The admission of such inconvenient realities kindled heated arguments across the floating dais. Pranik cared little for the offense caused. Too many good soldiers had perished already thanks to the folly. This betrayal yet festers too deep among the occupied worlds. Archon Zeiser snarled, fist pounding the stone parapets. Our strategic projections show defeatism spread by rebellions in other sectors since the Sol disaster. Spittle flew as he stomped toward the silent Pranik Urk. Yet the disgraced marshal remained stoic, crimson gaze defiantly leveled to meet the judge's glare. Liberation fevers cares nothing for projections, Archon. Only that my legions perished, proving your occupational philosophies severely lacking. A genuine sadness strained his next words. Surely we gained ample resources in that bloody enterprise without shattering so many lives? The ancient counselors shifted uneasily, whispering among themselves at the undeniable grievances voiced aloud. Flawed orders executed too ruthlessly carried consequences, it seemed. Several-eyed Pranik with newfound curiosity, perhaps a scapegoat no longer. Zeiser loomed closer, ice in his cracking voice. Reparations have been paid tenfold for fallen oath-keepers. But ripples yet spread from your defeat, heretic. Say how we return to greatness with our fleet humbled so. He raised his ceremonial dagger of judgment under Pranik's chin. A dynasty lies fractured from your failures. Thus exile and disinheritance shall. On the contrary, I shall mend it. Pranik roared, swatting the dagger aside. Enough patient suffering and passive lies to vultures picking his family bones. Zeiser walked back to the other council members as they whispered amongst themselves. The imperial edict rang out cold and final. No further military assets shall be invested in Sol reoccupation. Humanity has proven dangerously disloyal despite attempts at generous assimilation. Archon Zeiser refocused his smoldering glower upon Pranik Urk, still standing resolute between columns of Prozenith sentries. As for your wretched brood, the Urk appellation will bear treason's taint for 9 generations. A chorus of senior counselors bellowed concurrence to the judgment. Pranik bowed acceptance of long odds finally stacked beyond appeal by dogma and fear. No clan could overcome such comprehensive political disgrace solely upon merit. Yet personal reputation and family honor shone as burnished steel under starlight in his heart. None could strip that cherished bond away through cowardly procedure. I shall inform what few relatives remained after my forces were expended so freely for empire. Though indeed service merits better recompense. He steadied each counselor, silently swearing them etched into memory for their corrupt selective history. Blind ritual and powers sustained their rotten dynasty, not truth's honesty. Half an Earth revolution later, the newly appointed Warden Pranik Urk gazed out the command tower viewport as another mineral hauler settled onto icy landing pads ringing the Tilnum labor camp. Miles of climate domes and barracks extended across the frozen moon's tired landscape where over 1 million slaves toiled endlessly. A harsh yet perfectly fitting exile for a fallen system marshaled stripped of title and purpose. His lieutenant barked the daily productivity reports and prisoner attrition rates now directly under Pranik's supervision. Numbers and metrics comprised his world here on this isolated rock. No considerations existed for rehabilitation or treatment pathways. The broken private military, composed of mercenaries from at least a dozen systems, were inputs fed to the corporation mills and nothing more. Yet Pranik mused deeper problems simmered behind Empire's glittering spires and ceremonial pomp. Millions suffered under crushing entropy from sheer exhaustion and ennui across many sectors subjugated then abandoned. Constant expansion risked overreach despite technological might. Perhaps fresh philosophies were required moving forward. Justice, consent, community. The marshal tapped his commander's signet ring thoughtfully. Changes brewed out among cold stars, not regime platitudes to sustain enduring order worthy of its populace. And there were always quiet ways for disgraced officers to redeem honor while guarding the downtrodden. Pranik allowed himself a slow, devious smile for the first time since arriving at this forced labor sinkhole. Pranik's thoughts finally turned to the Sol system. The politicians of the Prozenith Empire are fools to their core if they believe humans will remain in the regions they now control. Humans were savage beasts kept under leash and whipped for 80 solar revolutions. But now those beasts are free to roam the stars. It is only a matter of time when Prozenith legions face off against humans once more, only the next time it will be the human beasts expanding their borders in the Empire's space. And the human beast will be filled with great resolve.